Thanks for joining us on this edition of the Council Recap. Council met Tuesday, January 17th at 5:30 in the council chambers with Martin Luther King on Monday. This rolls over to a Tuesday meeting. First item of business, we had awards and recognitions. The city and county participate in a food drive and with the county, and it's kind of a friendly competition. City won again this year, so we appreciate the efforts of both the city and county workers to provide food for those at the Salvation Army here locally. So Craig Oscarson presented the plaque to the city, which is kind of the protocol for the friendly competition. So that was nice and a great effort by both city and county staff. We moved on for the order of business. First on the agenda was approving the Park and Rec building for donation to the Austin Area Commission for the Arts for the Paramount use. That building is just west of the Paramount and would allow them to deal with handicap accessibility issues with the restrooms. Right now they're currently in the basement of their facility. This would allow them to have first floor access for restrooms, expand for future considerations, also office and lobby space. Gives them a little bit more flexibility to deal with a 1929 facility. So council was happy to go ahead and see that repurposed for use with the Paramount and their good efforts that they do in the community. We had Hormel Foundation grants, $478,300. Various projects, the Business Encouragement Enhancement Partnership, hotspots at the library, $28,800. J.C. Hormel Nature Center education programs of $40,000. Playground and poured in place surface at one of our parks for $40,347. That'll be kind of a neat project where we've had different flooding. This surface allows basically to be endured during a flood, and where we've in the past had to take out the sand because that becomes contaminated with flood waters based on regulations, so we have to replace that. The poured in place playground surface would help us with that, as well as provide an enduring surface for the playground area. Targeted redevelopment area of $300,000. Riverside Arena enhancements for the doorways. Fire Riverside Arena summer ice. Just a couple of the different projects that were graciously given a good amount of money from the Hormel Foundation. We couldn't do these projects without them, so I very much appreciate those, and council obviously accepted those grants from the Hormel Foundation. We had 2017 street assessment rates, kind of an interesting process for what we do when we assess street projects moving forward. There's different considerations that residents will have to pay based on corner lot policy, interior lots with double frontage, roadway life expectancy, credit for life expectancy, credit for curb and gutter, maximum thickness. There's also provision for different sidewalk thicknesses. So there's different rates that are set. We generally try to assess a percentage of the project, so those rates help us recover those costs, and those that directly benefit from the roadway and sidewalks pay that share of it. So council adopted that with a slight increase from 2016 to 2017 rates as we look for road projects that'll move forward this coming year. Council approved those. We also set the representation on our boards and commissions for council members and the mayor, so those were approved by council. We also had an audit engagement letter with Clifton Larson Allen for our auditing services. The city has to be audited annually, so we have Clifton Larson Allen do that for us. Council approved that agreement. We also had discussion related to the FEMA flood map revisions. Holly Wallace did a great job of explaining that, and essentially what that does, the areas where we've done the flood protection, those areas can come out of the flood area, and part of that process also allows them to lower their insurance rates and not having to have flood insurance coverage. So that's helpful for those folks, and that basically identifies the new, actually the area that comes out of the flood area. So that's was approved by council. Council approved an interim use permit for Luann Hansen. This is in a residential neighborhood. She does some home baked goods, and it's a nice way for people to start up a new business, don't have to have the capital expenditure of a new business, but can try to grow their business at their home. That's through a provision of the Department of Agriculture that allows for those kind of growing, emerging businesses, and then our local ordinance allows for that by an interim use. Residents are notified in the neighborhood, and they can call and ask any questions that they may have. We had a couple that came in, but no opposition to that project, so council approved that, and kind of a neat home-based alternative for folks if that's something you or you know somebody that has a sort of cottage industry that they're looking to get off the ground. That might be a good way to do it. Please contact the city offices in the Planning and Zoning Department if you have questions about that. We approved the Oak Park Mall subdivision. Hy-Vee owns that property now, and they divided into 3 lots, and there were several conditions that council placed on that agreement moving forward. We approved a transportation grant application for roads over by the Hormel plant. This is a federal application that brings in some grant funds to help us with the road improvement projects. The project would be dependent upon receiving those grants, so thanks Stephen Lang for his effort to reach out and look for grant funds. We've had other projects that have been awarded that. 4th Drive Southwest was a recent example of getting some federal funds, so it's always nice to bring those additional resources to bear to help on our local road network. We had a farm lease out on the Cook Farm. Council approved for the productive acres. It's $225 an acre. For the non-productive grassland area, it's $50 an acre. Council approved that farm lease for that area. We had a change order for City Hall remodel. Some changes to the conference room and LED lighting, and updates to the 4 restrooms that are on the 1st and 2nd floor. Those are pretty dated and needed some attention. We had budget to be able to do that, so council approved that final, well, at least hopeful final change order on the City Hall remodel project. We also approved an extension of the cable television franchise agreement that we have with Charter. We've been having ongoing negotiations, and our our franchise attorney suggested we do an extension that automatically renews on a month-to-month basis, but we wanted to formally go ahead and approve that extension, so we did so. We also, right now, the Cook Farm, our industrial park north of town off 218, currently had some of the property owned by the city and some by the Port Authority. We went ahead and the council transferred the bulk and the rest of those lots over to the Port Authority. Ports Authority, by state statute, to have a little more flexibility in dealing with economic development projects, so we wanted to make sure that those were in the hands of the entity that had the most flexibility. So council approved that transfer to the Port Authority. We had some donations and granted the Planning and Zoning Department some authority to remove junk on 2 properties. Other than that, that pretty well rounded out the council meeting. We did announce Sarah Steinhoff as the interim library director. Working with Julie Schramick over at the library board, we were able to bring Sarah on board in this interim time when we're looking for a replacement of the library director. So we welcome her aboard, and that pretty well rounded out the council meeting. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call, 437-9941. Thanks for joining us on this episode. Join us next time when we recap the city council meeting. Thanks so much.